we're so close to the end.
Yay.
But there's still a couple more steps before you can get paid. You've got to ship the item.
Oh yeah, big part. So here's a few questions to consider before you start shipping and packing stuff. Do you use your own stuff to pack the item, or do you take it to a shipping store? We actually do both, and it depends on what the item is.
Yeah, if it's just smaller clothing items or shoes, we'll always pack it ourselves. But for other hard goods, if they are small, it's probably cheaper to pack them ourselves. But if they are big and awkward, we would most likely take them to a packing or shipping store.
Most towns and cities will have a pack and ship type place that's not UPS or FedEx that you can pack and ship items for you, but they'll also give you a reasonable price.
Yeah, we found a great little store that it's just, they will pack and ship your items for all these places, and they have such a great attitude. It's wonderful. Like, do we want to tell them about the items that we shipped that were like really awkward?
Yeah, we
Just
could.
really briefly? Okay.
So we talked about that Thomas Kincaid painting that I sold recently. Okay, so we had never shipped a piece of artwork before, and this is like, you know, it's like a 18 by 24 like piece of art. Like, it's a pretty, you know, good sized thing. And we took it to this little pack and ship place, and the lady there was like, oh, well, and she showed us how to do it. And yeah, and she was telling us all this stuff. Like, you have to have 2 inches around the outside of a piece of artwork or something if it's insured, for it to hold up legally in court if it gets ruined or something. So it's like things like that we don't even, like, we've never even heard before. We wouldn't have known that had we not taken it there.
It's good to know. We're probably not going to insure like a $70 painting, but if we ever were to find like a work of art and sell it ourselves, we would definitely, I mean, a work of art,
that's gonna
like
sell
something
for
that's like
thousands.
2,000 or something, like we would insure that.
Yeah. So it's things like that you learn.
And luggage and rollerblades. I think those are the other 2 that we had them ship.
Just weird, awkward items, because we're like, we don't know what kind of box to put these in. We have our own boxes and stuff, as you saw in the video, but yeah, sometimes you need bigger boxes and awkward sized boxes. So sometimes it might be cheaper for them to do it instead of you having all of that stuff on hand, cluttering your house and stuff. We don't really recommend using the big stores like UPS and FedEx, because from our experience, if you ask them to pack your items for you, they will charge you super high premium amounts and give you a bad attitude while doing it.
Yes.
I don't know if that's the case for all of the stores, but all the ones we've been to have not been a great experience. I don't get it. It's like, okay, like, I'm sorry that you work at a shipping store and we're inconveniencing you somehow.
So then you've got to ship it somehow. We almost always use just regular USPS Priority Shipping for Poshmark and for Mercari, unless it's a large or fragile item. Side note, with eBay, lately I've been doing USPS Parcel Ground, and that's a little bit cheaper than Priority because it's so expensive. So I like to stick with the Postal Service because we have a just a daily pickup, and so it's nice when I don't have to drive anywhere to drop anything off.
Yeah, USPS Parcel Ground is like the cheap one.
Yeah.
But if it's an item that's not going to get damaged, it's not a big deal. If it's a large or fragile item, then we will probably go with UPS Ground. FedEx is usually a little more expensive than both of those, so that's something to consider. But FedEx is also known for being better in most aspects of shipping. So if you want the best of the best, use FedEx. But for what we do, we just don't think it's necessary.
So what you'll want to do after printing your shipping label is check which inventory bin the sold item is in. We have this little shipping station, which we actually made out of this kitchen rack that one of our neighbors had left out on the side of the road for free. Pro tip, it's easier to stick on the label to whatever package or mailer bag you're using before putting the sold item in it. I usually put these cute thank you stickers on my packages, but this is totally optional. So what you'll want to do is find the right size mailer, and I carefully, in this instance, put the sweater in, and then peel and stick the flap closed. I also, because I'm just like OCD, I like to put tape on the edges so that no water can get in. And it might be overkill, but it's just something that I do. This is how we pack and ship about 90% of our stuff.
For things like shoes and boots, usually we would use a box instead of a poly mailer. Start by making sure the boots are going to fit in this box. Looks good, so now we put it together. By the way, we have a variety of boxes and mailers on hand, many of which you can get for free from the US Postal Service. We'll put more info on how you can get a hold of those yourself in the course notes. Now, I usually stuff each shoe first so that it doesn't get squashed. And then I'll individually wrap each one so that it doesn't get damaged while shipping. It doesn't have to be perfect or pretty, as long as the shoe is getting protected. Then I'll make sure to stuff the box with padding as much as possible. Basically, you just don't want anything moving around inside the box. We also always save these bubble pads and bubble wrap from when we get other packages because they always come in handy for this kind of stuff. For something like a game or a movie, you can use a smaller media mailbox or a bubble mailer. Again, we don't want anything moving around in the box, so we gotta pack it tighter. I will usually wrap it for protection too. I happen to have this old bubble wrap lying around, so I just use that. Then I just packed around it with some more bubble wrap, and that was perfect. Also, we recycle Amazon boxes and other package boxes too, as long as they aren't too beat up. It's totally fine to do this as long as you can cover or remove the old shipping labels. Just make sure you are not sending like UPS and a US Postal Service priority mailbox or something like that. They don't like that.
So that's it. Your item is sent and it will soon make it to the buyer. Then you can get paid after the buyer receives the item and confirms that all is good to go.
On Mercari, both the buyer and the seller have to rate and confirm the transaction in order to complete the sale. Or if enough time has passed, Mercari will just complete the transaction. On eBay, it doesn't require that, but it asks you to leave a review. I never do. I know it's good to do that, but on Poshmark, it's just the person that gets the item like accepts and rates. And if they don't accept it after a certain amount of time, then the funds are just released to you as a seller.
So now you got paid. Make sure that your bank accounts are connected to the platforms so that the platforms can send the money to you, and yeah, then you're paid, and that's it. That's how you sell something, and then you just rinse and repeat that 1,000 million times, and all of a sudden you're making good money.
So there it is. That is the life cycle of an item in a reseller's world.
Mm-hmm. There's only one more video left in this course, and in that video we're going to go into some extra tips and things to know as a reseller moving forward. So we'll see you in the next one.